Okay, welcome everybody. This is session 7, but we'll have a look at the session 6 content. So Chris, we'll go through, I'll share my page and we'll look at Study Smart, we'll work through it. I saw some comments from people in terms of forums, so that was good. We're pretty much on the money for that. We are online. You can see my screen, Chris?
Yes, all
Perfect.
good.
Right, so obviously lecture notes and recordings there. We had the forum, so we looked at what do you do when a coach doesn't want to utilise a sports psychologist, and your responses are really good, so well done. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll just quickly run through some ideas. Lack of conviction, I would say the well-known athletes in their sport that utilise the sports psych, I would give the coach some research articles focused on their sport and how sports psychology has been effective. And really, I mean, what have they got to lose? Since it's not working now, you may as well try something new. But the research says how effective it is. So with the lack of time during a training session, I would ask them for their training program, and I won't change a thing. I won't add extra time, and I'll show them how we could put sports psychology concepts in the drills. Or I would have a session, but particularly if it's one that shouldn't be on the field or court, I would do it really close. So it could be like a short, sharp 30-minute session prior to or during the training. I'd ask the coach, can you please give me 30 minutes? Then you need to get here 2 hours early because Karen's presenting. So that's effective. With the sports psychologist not having a lack of knowledge, I saw Laura's answer and your answer, Chris. The knowledge isn't about the sport. The knowledge is about psychological skills. So I actually find it really easier to look at a sport that I don't know and tell them all the psychological things that are happening. Sometimes as a sports psychologist, particularly if you're familiar with the sport like I am with basketball, I get stuck sometimes going, hang on, am I being a coach right now or am I being a sports psychologist?
That makes sense.
So it's actually, it is advantageous. The thing I really like about this, that Chris, is the fact that with not knowing the sport, I'm not a guru. So when I work with the athletes in the team sports, I'll go, hey, I'll teach you about sports psych. Can you teach me about your sport? So the fortunate thing about that is it puts me on the same page as them. I'm going to learn from them and they're going to learn from me. And it gets rid of that, guru complex that sometimes happens.
Cool. That's...
With other teams worried about how other teams will view them. Well, first of all, it's confidential. So that would only be released if the team wants it released. And 2, I mean, how many successful teams utilise the service of a sports psychologist? So we've got to get rid of that negative preoccupation that people have about sports psych. And then lastly, I'm just checking if anybody else joined. Lack of follow-up. I mean, that's solved by sitting down with the coach and, right, show me your season. Here's my ideas on how we can have an effective season. Here's where we'll put this, this, and this in. After doing a needs analysis, and you plan the whole year. It's really hard when they just go, can you come and do a session? And I'm, oh, okay, that's great. I can do a session, but what do you want me to achieve? Hey, James. So I think it's important that you go, right, show me your season for the year. Obviously, initially pre-season, we're looking at team building, we're looking at establishing roles, and I'll go through the season. But I am mindful that a lot of organisations, they don't have the money for it. So for me, it's what's your budget, and I'll work with your budget. So I'll try and get it out over the season, and I'll try and check, have some checkpoints where I come in and we look at working on skills, getting ready for finals, or doing pre-season training, that kind of stuff. but I think all our contribution in the forum was really good, and I think you guys were on the money for that, so well done. Any questions about that first activity?
No, not really. That sort of cover. I was just a little concerned about the follow-up thing, what was meant by that, but that explained it real well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, because a lot of the time we've only seen the sports psych once. It's like half the time it's to do with the planning. So it's show me what you have for the season, and I'll tell me what your budget is, and we'll work with that. I think money always becomes the problem. Like people, they're asking about budget. It's like, okay, no, tell me what you've got, and I'll work with you. Rather than I'll come in and do one great session and hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Okay, then you did that questionnaire that I asked you to do, and you got your scores for it?
Yeah.
James, did you get a chance to do it?
No, sorry, I haven't as yet. I've just a little bit behind at the moment, cool. But yeah, catching up.
No, that's cool. So you fill it out. Where is it? Ooh, yeah. So when you finish this shoot, James, jump on and do it because it's actually quite interesting. But you're going to get 7 scores, all out of 12. So 12 being the highest score. And then I would say when I work with elite athletes, we're looking at the average of 9. And with the common population, I might say the average is 6. So, and we look at where you stand against the average of the population. With the elite performers, we're expecting them to be quite high on these variables. Maybe not 12s, but at least a 9. So that's how did you find that, Chris?
Yeah, it was sort of a bit eye-opening because, I don't know, I got a fairly high score that I wasn't expecting to get.
Cool. Did, what was I going to say? What was I going to ask? Did you understand all the variables involved, what it was measuring? These?
Yeah. That was, and it was sort of, like some of them were like, yeah, okay, that makes sense because that's how I am. But some you're like, oh, okay, I wouldn't see myself as that. But if I answer the questions honestly, well, that sort of makes sense.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I find these activities really valuable because you do get insight that you're not aware of. The only thing, Jane, I want to point out to you is these are all normal scoring, and when you read through it, you'll understand what that is. But there are 6 questions that have an asterisk where you just reverse the scoring. So the normal scoring 0 is just reverse. And it will show you how to do it. So that's normal scoring. But when you score these ones with asterisks, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and that's 3. But yeah, so the total score's out of 84. The higher up your score is, the more developed your, I guess, your mental skills are. I really like utilising this tool as a buy-in for athletes, so they sort of go, oh, look, here's some areas that are related to sports psychology, and for the ones that they're developed, they get happy with, but the ones that are a little bit weaker, they might say, hey, Karen, I scored pretty low on this. Can you work with me on that? So it's a good start point for me. And they get quite interested in it.
Having a very quick look at it, I'm guessing the scores would change occasionally, like quite significantly, depending on your age. Like as you mature, those scores would change. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
I think the younger athletes might not necessarily, they might interpret questions differently. So I think it's a tool that you test, you retest, and you just keep following them on their journey. I think it's something that will develop with maturity, and I think awareness of what sports psychology skills are. So hopefully the questions are, I'm sharing my screen, aren't I? Hopefully the questions are sort of, I get most of my talent and my skill. I get the most out of it. Some of them are difficult questions, and a young kid would answer that differently. So I don't think there's an age limit for this, but a mature player would probably score something very different to a player that isn't. Okay, yeah, so have a go at that, James, and see what your scores are. One thing I told the students, really take advantage of identifying what you're doing well and what you're not doing well. Start getting some strategies. As of this week, we now start working through the strategies. So, okay. And then the last little bit was just a goal setting analysis. So I got you to do, I don't want to view responses, student. I got you to write a goal, and then what we forget to do when we goal set is making sure we tick the boxes. So making sure it's specific, measurable, making sure it's action orientated, that it's realistic, time bound, and self-determined, which are the SMARTS principles. So in class, I get the students, so you guys would have written a goal down, and then they swap it, and then their partner judges whether they've hit the mark for the SMART principles, which you guys can do that individually. And then their partner had to determine whether it was a performance, process, or outcome goal. Then the individual was given their goal back, and they had to rewrite it if they missed any of the principles. So it was just more of a skill development exercise than anything else. Stop sharing. And that was it. That was the content for this week. So you don't have too much to catch up on, James. Maybe get your scoring done. Like I said, I find it interesting. And you might have missed just the first bit, but we've gone through those answers. And I think anybody who contributed to the forum had some good ideas. So, all right. Any questions about anything to date? So that's it for this week. This week was pretty short and sharp. I can see the communication with your presentation, so that's really positive. Just keep touching base if you don't get something. Now, remember, your presentation needs to look something like this. So, you know how I share my screen and I talk you through a PowerPoint, you'll be doing the same thing. And you'll also be submitting a handout that is a summary of each of your sections together. Okay. Any questions?
No. Christopher, did you have the same problem with Ashley that you didn't get my attachment?
Yeah, it said that there was an attachment, but it wouldn't let me open it.
Okay. All right, I'll give it another try.
So
I've got it actually.
So I'm not sure.
Got me to have a go? Oh no, I didn't open up the thing. See what's going. Hang on 1 sec. We'll see what's wrong with it. See if I can open it. I like this part of the course. This part, I mean, I like the whole thing, but this part's really quite cool because you get to learn about strategy. No, don't say that. Where is it? James. I can't even see I can't see an attachment, James.
Can't see it at all. An attachment.
I'll just share it with you.
Sure.
So this is what I'm seeing.
There is a small chance that I haven't attached it at all. But the way Chris was saying, he's actually can see an attachment, but can't open it. All right, I'll give it another try. It looks like there's no attachment.
Yeah, I can't see the attachment here. Where is it? One with an attachment. Do it again. We should be able to see that.
Sure.
Okay.
On that, Karen, do you know an easy way to have a file where we can share it, so any changes that are made, we all get the changes?
To do your handout?
Or the presentation?
Yeah, go to Google. So
okay.
You have Google Docs where you can share an actual handout. So I've got in your assessment section, sorry, I didn't mean, that sounded weird, but what I meant, Google has like a sharing device. The other group is at the moment sharing a presentation together. So it's a Google PowerPoint basically, and they're all contributing. So you guys can do the same thing. I should be sharing my screen now. In your assessment section, I've given you instructions And actually, I'll ask now for another set of instructions. So here's instructions on how to create and share a Google document. So if you watch that together, you'll be able to create a Google document, which means you can do the handout on the one piece of paper and you share it between you. Okay, so that's the Google. Have you had a chance to look at that?
No, I hadn't actually. That pretty much answers all my questions.
Okay, but you've just made me aware of something. What I would do is ask for a document where you can share the PowerPoint as well.
Okay, well, I couldn't imagine it'd be too different.
Beg your pardon?
I couldn't imagine it would be too different.
No, I don't think it will be, but I'll still get it anyway. All right. All right, guys, that's it for today. Anything else?
No,
Okay,
nothing
cool.
I can think of.
All right, go ahead, continue doing that stuff. James, get this done. And then week 7 is self-talk. So again, tapped into internal dialogue. We'll do that next week. All right, guys.
Cool.
Talk to you
See
later.
Karen. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.